And then we got a big order from Starbucks. And I think that was a moment where we thought like, wow, wow, like things are actually really gonna take off now.
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Sip to Success with Anurag. Today we have a very talented founder with us. She started her journey in India, then went back to United States for her studies and returned to India and became a founding team member of Fab India's Fab Cafe. She is also a business consultant specializing in health food. So we have Rebecca Sood with us. Hi Rebecca, welcome to Sip to Success with Anurag.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
What exactly is kombucha? Because many people are still not aware of this superfood as a brand.
Yeah, so kombucha is a beverage. It's a fizzy probiotic beverage that we make through fermentation. So जैसे आपके दही बनाते हैं, जैसे आप दही के लिए दही से ही बनाते हैं, right? You add dahi to milk, you ferment that milk and you make dahi. Similarly, जब हम kombucha बना रहे, we use kombucha to make kombucha. Kombucha का base जो होते हैं, it's a base of green tea. So it's a green tea beverage that is then fermented. And through the fermentation process, we get a lot of probiotics in the kombucha, and it also becomes fizzy. Kombucha essentially can be a healthy alternative to either a Coca-Cola or a Fanta or a Sprite, or even, having a beer in the evening for people who want to be a little bit more healthy and have a healthier gut.
So you mentioned you add sugar in the fermentation process. So how come it can be a healthy option? Because I am assuming sugar to be a calorie sufficient thing.
Yeah, so sugar is definitely not, a healthy thing to be consuming. But when we add sugar in the fermentation, the sugar is added at the beginning of the fermentation, and it's actually consumed by the probiotics. So as the kombucha ferments, the probiotics multiply, and they multiply because they're consuming sugar. So when we add sugar in the kombucha, we always say the sugar is for the bacteria, not for you.
Yeah, so the sugar gets converted to the healthier part of that.
Yes, yeah, it turns into probiotics, yeah.
So nowadays there is a talk going on between prebiotic and probiotic ingredients. So can you also talk about this? What exactly these are? What are the differences? And how to see as an individual what is good for them?
Yeah, so both prebiotics and probiotics are important to consume. The probiotics are the bacteria that colonate our large intestine and our gut. And those bacteria play a lot of different roles in the body. Those are probiotics. And so we have bacteria. The probiotics are good bacteria. Prebiotics are food for the bacteria. So while you want to be making sure that you consume good probiotics, good bacteria into your gut so that you have the right balance of bacteria, you also want to make sure that those bacteria can survive in your gut, which is why you would then consume a prebiotic. Now, of course, nowadays you get a lot of prebiotic powders, but actually some of the most simple prebiotics are things like onions and garlic, which I'm pretty sure we all consume every day without thinking about it.
So let's talk about the market size that we have for kombucha as a category of health food.
Yeah, so at this point in time, there has been no specific, market study done in India on kombucha because it's an emerging and it's a new category. What we do know is that the health beverage market in India is a 15,000 crore market. And it's also the fastest growing segment of the beverage industry. So, healthy beverages are definitely the next big thing in India. And kombucha is definitely going to be a small segment of that. I don't think it's going to be the main healthy beverage that people are consuming, although we do hope that, it does become very popular because it's an excellent thing for people to be consuming.
Why can't we make it a mass consumable product? You said ki kombucha we obviously because it has a multiple health benefits. As a brand owner, you think should be done to make it mass consumable?
There's a couple of things that make kombucha difficult to scale and to drop the price as a business. One of them being the cold chain nature of the product. So kombucha, because we are selling real, living, live bacteria, we cannot, store these at ambient temperature, especially here in India, because ambient temperature, much of the year can be very high, 40, 50 degrees. So because of that, kombucha has to be transported in cold chain. It has to be stored in cold chain.
What should be the ideal temperature?
Ideal temperature, yeah, for storage is refrigerated temperature. So, 4 to 8 degrees essentially. While you do have some companies that create kombucha that can sustain even at 20 degrees, even a process like that for India is still going to require refrigeration, because even 20 degrees here is not really realistic in ambient temperature. And so that's one of the key things that makes kombucha a challenging product to really scale on a mass level. You do, in the world now, you do see shelf-stable kombucha, but what essentially those brands do is they kind of try to reconstruct kombucha. So they take all of the elements of kombucha.
We were talking to reduce the price of kombucha. Other than the logistics part, the transportation part, what all challenges are there with the kombucha industry that we should focus on to reduce the prices and make it available to the masses as well?
Yeah, the main challenge I would say is logistics and distribution. Okay. Those are the main challenges, yeah.
Recently, I studied a survey by Indian Dietetic Association, and they said 7 out of 10 people in India face digestion or gut health issues. So, considering the population of India, and this is a major number that we have. So, for everyone out there who can take kombucha as a digestion and a gut health solution, I am assuming the price should be somewhat like below 100 for a bottle. And right now, I am assuming it is something like 200 or 250 for a 100 ml or a 150 ml bottle.
Yeah. So we sell our kombucha at 220 rupees a bottle.
So this is a premium product.
It's a premium product, yeah.
So other than logistics, if we go for if brands like HULs or ITCs of the world, they start manufacturing this product, do you think that they can reduce the price or they can make it available to the masses?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of market awareness required. I think, the reason that we targeted a premium audience was because a premium audience is an audience that is more open to new things, that is might already be aware of kombucha. They might have had it somewhere else in the world. I think, when you target a mass audience with a completely new product, obviously a lot of education and brand awareness is required. In addition to obviously the challenges of creating a fresh product. So I certainly think it's possible. I'm not sure if, it's something that will happen.
So now let's talk about how your journey has been, because we are focusing more on the 0 to 1 journeys. So obviously you have passed that phase. So just wanted to check with you, what was your first office like, first setup, the first set of customers that you had? So what was the experience has been?
Yeah, so when my sister and I started this business, we didn't have any prior business experience really. We didn't have any startup capital. We just kind of had a vague dream that we wanted to do something. And so initially we started, our first office was our own house. We used to live in Santnagar in east of Kailash. We had a 3-bedroom apartment there, wherein we lived in 2 bedrooms, and the rest of the apartment we turned into a factory/office. So at one point, I think we had 5 people reporting to, our apartment. We even got that, apartment. It was on our labels, it was like, and so it was a registered FSSAI factory. But we were also living there at the time. So I think, we sort of went about this route because we didn't have capital, we didn't have money to go to a manufacturer and get a product made. Even things like MOQs for bottles, were problems that we ran into. And we just sort of had to navigate each of those problems. In the beginning, I would go to Nehru Place and, I would just wait in line with those printers who print on the sheets. And you have to just go and you have to sit with them and you have to they print in front of you, they cut in front of you and you take it back, right? And so, every week I would go to Nehru Place and I would get our labels printed. We would go home, we would apply them ourselves. And so we really started the business and just completely organically.
So you mentioned about FSSAI. So how easy or how convenient was the licensing part, because you are a food brand and also a health product? So what kind of manufacturing licenses or operational licenses are required for a brand operating in this similar category?
Yeah, so there's quite a few FSSAI licenses required. What I would say is that the process is not so tricky, at least in the beginning. I think we essentially followed the instructions on their website. It does take time. So I think we were lucky in that we sort of had this idea. As soon as we had the idea, we applied for the license, so that by the time we were ready to sell a product, our license had already arrived. Over the years, we've had to get more and more licensing and do more and more levels of certification. But we've, overall, I think, you just need to be in touch with, experienced professionals who can help you and understand each of these layers of certification.
I believe when starting up, because we consult many startups also regarding packaging and other stuff. So what we have observed is that they wait for the perfect thing, get the perfect logo, get the perfect packaging, get the perfect product, the marketing to be done in the perfect manner. And they in this entire journey of making things perfect, they spend a lot of time by going to the market. So do you think what should be the right approach? Do we wait for the things to be perfect, or we launch and innovate and improvise during the journey?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the best approach is, but I can tell you what my approach is. I always joke that, as an entrepreneur, I always do first and think later.
I think everyone does like this.
I don't know if everyone does that. I don't know if, everyone should do that. And I definitely run into a lot of situations where I say, why didn't I think of this before? But similarly, with a product as well, we've always sort of gone with this philosophy of like launch first and perfect later. Not that we try to launch imperfect products, but we also, realize that sometimes it's better to just put the product in the market and let your customers tell you how they want it to be perfected versus, just kind of dilly-dallying and doing these internal iterations without actually any real market feedback. So our current label that you see, our current logo would be the third logo that we actually put into the market. And, I think it's like the fourth or the fifth label, which we came up with, I think, in the second year of the business. So we did have two different logos. We had a different company name in the beginning. And, we just kind of got feedback from people and we made changes. And what we found is that, people, as soon as you make a change and people just kind of, forget the old and they go with the new.
So you started in 2018. The official launch was in 2018.
Yeah.
2 years later, COVID happened. And post-COVID, because people became more aware of their health, they started accepting more of the health drinks. And I see that there are 10 to 15 brands already existing in the kombucha segment. So is it a good thing as a brand owner? Because what we believe that the market is evolving, market for these products is increasing and consumers are accepting this as a product. So what is your take on this?
Yeah, kombucha is a brand new category. Now, we were one of the first players. We were kind of one of the first pioneers to create the kombucha category. Now we have lots and lots of new startups helping us create this category. So on the one hand, sometimes it feels like, oh, the space is very congested.
The shelf life of the product is also very critical, because you said you are actually selling the live bacteria of this. So are there any brands who are, increasing the shelf life, or you as a brand owner want to increase the shelf life so that, you tone down the challenges of this product as a category?
So you have two things with kombucha. One is the temperature, right, of how the kombucha needs to be stored. The other is the shelf life, how long the kombucha is good for. Now, overall kombucha, because it's fermented, and fermented foods do not go bad, right? Because food goes bad when bad bacteria grows in that food. Now, kombucha is full of all of this good bacteria. The chances of bad bacteria growing in that kombucha are almost zero. So you don't actually have so much of a shelf life challenge. Kombucha, bottled kombucha in refrigeration can be stored, 6 months, 8 months, even up to a year. The challenge is not with the shelf life. The challenge is with the temperature.
Being a female entrepreneur and a new startup with a new product and a new category, everything was new for you. So what all challenges that you faced with these aspects while starting up, so that if in case people like you, they are planning to start in this category, they can relate with this?
Yeah, so I mean, probably not the best idea um, to, to do your first startup in a new category with a new product. I think for me, I did have experience in the health food space. And I found that to be extremely helpful. So the fact that I had started a health food business before at least gave me a lot of connections and a lot of knowledge around, how to scale a business. But my previous business was not an FMCG. It was a restaurant chain.
Coming out of a kind of a blind spot, and what was a moment that you thought ki now we are on a, now the thing is going fine, now we are now we are taking off?
Yeah.
So what was that as a journey that you thought ki now we are on the right path?
Yeah, so I think, just a month after this, we had a very good month. Weather in North India also went from like super cold to super hot. And suddenly, because for us always winter is a little bit down, and then suddenly summer came and just our orders were doing really well, our ads were performing well. And then we got a big order from Starbucks. And I think that was a moment where we thought like, wow, wow, like things are actually really gonna take off now. And it was, after Starbucks, we ended up on Shark Tank.
What was the Shark Tank effect that you had with your brand pre and post Shark Tank happened?
Yeah, so I think, when you start a business, nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what your business is. And in our case, nobody knew what our product was. So, there was a lot of unknowns. And I think Shark Tank for us at least eliminated a lot of that. So now if I go to a supplier or if I'm doing sampling at an event, a lot of times people say, oh, I've already seen this on Shark Tank. I saw your brand story, or I saw, this celebrity shark enjoying this drink. And so I think that brand awareness, just that overarching brand awareness that comes from being on a TV show like that, has been super duper helpful. The business has definitely grown, but I wouldn't say we've seen like a strong, direct ROI in terms of numbers from being on the show. But I think what it has done is just created this brand awareness that will carry the business forward for the next couple of years for sure.
Now let's talk about what lies ahead for Atmosphere Nourishment. Like, what are the new launches that you might be planning? How is the entire brand portfolio looks like? What are the variants that you have been working on? Anything new developments, whatever that you want to share?
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting time for Atmosphere because we are working on a lot of different new products. Our mission and our goal as a company is to help India have better gut health. And so all of our products are related to a healthier gut. But we are really focusing now on more targeted products. So we're going to be entering, the supplement pharmaceutical industry with targeted gut supplements that can help people really heal from problems like acidity or bloating or fatigue or weight gain or different things like that. We are also working on more healthy snacks. So we've had a lot of customers again ask us for something savory. We've been doing
healthy options.
Healthy options, of course, of course. So our main product is kombucha, but we also do chocolate fudge. But beyond that, people have been asking us for something savory, and so we have a savory snack launching very soon. And at the same time, we actually have a bunch of other things that we're also working on. So one thing we have realized is that category creation is challenging, and while the kombucha category grows, we will grow with it. But we don't want to limit Atmosphere's business to just kombucha, which is why, we've been exploring a lot of other things.
And you are now an omni-channel brand, or mostly catering to D2C channel or general store, modern trade?
Yeah, so we're available across the board. So we're in primarily more of the organized retail, like the modern bazaars or the nature's baskets of India. But certainly we are also available in a lot of smaller modern trade stores. And then we do a significant amount of business through our own e-commerce website.
So as a brand, what do you think is a major sales channel, the online channel or the offline channel?
So definitely, I think, in FMCG, offline is always going to be bigger because there's only so much that people are going to order their groceries online. People like going to the store, or they like going to Blinkit now. So you have quick commerce now, which is, now emerging as a big way that people are purchasing their groceries. And so Atmosphere will soon be listing on Swiggy, Instamart, we'll be listing on Blinkit as well. And I think those are going to become really big channels for us. But at the same time, as a business, especially as a non-funded business, because we're still a bootstrap business, when you put your products into a modern bazaar or into a retail store, you're essentially, saying goodbye to your money for the next 60 days or maybe longer, because a lot of these people are not the best paymasters. And so for us, that e-commerce side of the business is really our bread and butter. It's how we pay our rent, it's how we pay our salaries, it's how we pay a majority of our vendors. The profit for us is always actually out in the market somewhere. And you do also run into instances where people run off and they don't pay you, or, different things like that. And that's, your profit, you could literally just see your profit kind of running away or disappearing somewhere. And so it can be very frustrating as well, which is why I think it's very important to have a channel that you're in control of. At least for us, with our e-commerce channel, it's, that money is something that we can control.
So what is the strategy that a brand should follow, like for a food brand? Because obviously, while airing on Shark Tank, your brand is now a known brand. So any modern trade or a general store would be readily acceptable your brand to provide a shelf space. But having said, if in case a brand is a new entry and they don't have that much visibility, what is the ideal way to approach maybe a modern bazaar or these kind of stores?
I think you have to just do it, and the best thing to do is just to give samples. Maybe even tell the store, hey, listen, we'll give you a batch. This is on us. The first batch is free. You see if you sell it. And then, what we did in the beginning was we would put our products in the store, be like, only pay us if it sells. And then we would call all of our friends and be like, go to the store and buy the product, And so, there's definitely, some amount of, you have to kind of create your own demand, right? And you have to make people come back and be like, oh, it's crazy, your product sold out in 2 days, and so some of it is marketing, right? Some of it is creating that impression, even if it's not there. You can't always fake it, but it is important, because people are only going to give you one chance. And if you just put your product there and you don't do anything, then they're going to tell you to take it back and they're not going to list it again. So, we were never kind of willing to take that chance. We were always trying to make sure that we could get into a store and stay in that store.
Talking about 2018 and we are in 2023. So it's a journey of, I am 5 years of now. So do you think that you have grown at a rate that you have expected to be? Like, obviously, everyone thinks that, my brand to be at certain level, and we always set higher standards for us. But what scale would you rate your brand as a brand owner? What, like, on a scale of 10?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I think, when we started in 2018, we were so uncertain about the business, about the product. I still had a full-time job until 2020. So for the first 2 years, I wasn't even focused on atmosphere. And I think in the beginning, we didn't really create like monetary goals. Our only really goal was to make enough money that we didn't have to work jobs. I think that was like, we were like, hey, if we can do that, like if we can, make enough to cover rent and food, like, that'll be enough. I think now we obviously have much more concrete goals. I think when we started the business, we didn't really have strong goals. Now I definitely have. Now, if I look back, if I do it again now, I would have, much bigger goals. And I would hope to, after 5 years, be much further than I am now. But I think at the time we were young, we were inexperienced entrepreneurs, and we did what we knew to do, or we did what we thought was best. And so I think, you do see businesses and, they're in 2 or 3 years, they're growing, from like 0 to like 200 crores. And we're certainly, that's not our story. But that was also never really our goal either. I think our goal was to create a small, sustainable company. We're not looking to exit the company. We're not looking to sell the company. For me, the ultimate goal of this business would be for, all of my employees to become owners in the business. For me, that's something that's really important.
So how do you see atmosphere in 2030? Like, what is your vision, or how do you want atmosphere to evolve like 5 to 7 years down the line?
So we definitely want to be, a big player in the health, food, and beverage space. I definitely, we would want our products to be available at all major grocery stores across the country. And I see us having a large kind of portfolio of products beyond just beverage. But I do also see us in the future, launching a mass beverage. Maybe not a kombucha, but something that's still very healthy, that can be accessible to more people, and still promote gut health.
So if in case someone wants to start a similar kind of a product in 2023, so what should be the thing that you would like to share, that what you did in 2018, or maybe if you are starting now, things that you would have done differently considering the current situation?
Yeah, I think definitely, on the one hand, in 2023, like the market is much more crowded than it was 5 years ago. So it's harder to enter into the same space. Shelves are limited, fridges are limited, stores are not just accepting products. It wasn't even easy for us to get our stores and our products into stores, but now I feel that it's even harder for brands. So I would say before you get into FMCG, really fully understand how difficult it is, and make sure you're truly, truly passionate about it. Make sure you're don't get into selling a beverage if you think it's going to be some kind of like easy business, because it's not. It's really, really hard. So, if you do have a beverage and you feel like, wow, this is incredible, it's changed my life, I feel like it'll change other people's lives, and this is the only thing I want to do with my life, that would be the only reason I would tell you to get into the FMCG market in India. I think if I were starting a business with my current experience right now, in 2023, it would not be FMCG, because it's very hard.
How do a brand owner decide, like I am thinking of a product, or a product that will help me as a brand owner, and I believe that this is a good product and this will do good in the market and it will kill the sales. How do go about checking this product in the market? What is the viability of this? Like, how to decide कि we should take it as a business, or how to make a decision around this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I used to always say, it should be something that you're really passionate about, something that you have a lot of knowledge about, something that you can truly say, okay, I'm an expert at this thing, or I have the passion to become an expert at this thing. I used to always say that. But now I also, as I've matured as an entrepreneur, I think it's really important to go out and understand if it's just you that's interested in this thing, right? Or if there are others out there. With any startup, for any entrepreneur, product needs to solve a problem. If it doesn't solve a problem, then it's not really something that people need. But at the same time, if this is a very unique problem that only you have, again, it's a small market. So I think it's really important to go out there, to talk, to do surveys, to engage with people, to talk to other people in a similar space and figure out, what is the problem and how many people are experiencing this problem and how are they experiencing this problem. Because then before you even launch your brand, you don't want to launch a brand or a product that's for yourself. You want to launch a brand and a product that's for others, right? And so it's really important to have that awareness as well, that I might not be my own target customer. And I think, for me, when I started the company, I literally just launched products that I wanted. I was like, I want this, it's not in the market, let's make it.
What made you decide on this product? Like, I want to do kombucha. What was the triggering thought, or what was the, idea that came that you want to do this?
So I think there was a bunch of different things. One, I had a lot of experience making kombucha. When we started Atmosphere, I had been making kombucha already for 8 years. I was very good at it. No, personally, I was making it for myself. I would drink it at home. I would bottle it. My family would drink it. My friends would come over. They would drink it like that. So I had a lot of experience making kombucha. I felt like I was really good at it. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that my co-founder, Ayala, who was working as a nutritionist, was getting so many people coming into her with these gut bacteria related issues. And so she was prescribing them something like kombucha, So she was like, I want to give you a good probiotic. Now there's like so many amazing probiotics on the market. But in 2018, there was like those 20 rupee, the one that, the doctor gives you with the antibiotic and take this also probiotic. Yeah, I mean, it was very medicinal. It wasn't very good quality. And so she didn't want to be prescribing that to her clients. And so she was like literally just giving them kombucha.
And how easily did all those people accepted this as a product? So what was the success rate or the acceptance rate that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I think with people who have gut issues, and obviously if your nutritionist is just recommending you something, you're going to try it. If you have a problem and you drink something and it fixes your problem, you're going to keep drinking it, right? And at the same time, I mean, when you have a gut issue, it affects your whole life. I mean, just think of like, if you have a stomach ache, like you do not feel good. You don't feel like doing anything. It takes away your energy, right? Your gut is like the center of your entire body. It's what's giving you energy every day. And so what we've noticed is that people who do have gut issues, who experience the healing powers of kombucha, they become customers for life because their lives literally transform for the better. And they're very happy to continue buying and consuming the product. But, that's where we kind of focus on other aspects of the business beyond just selling an excellent product, like creating excellent customer service, making it easy to order, creating retention tactics, different things like that to keep those customers continuously engaged with the brand.
What are the variants that you have in the kombucha as a category?
We have depending on the season, about 9 to 12 different flavors. Our top selling flavors are Kolala, which is a cola flavored kombucha, blueberry lavender, exotic lime, ginger, raspberry lemonade. And then right now we have some seasonal specials. So we have Cargill apricot, we have Himalayan plum, we have mango peach. So we're constantly, kind of innovating and creating new flavors. But we also have, those regular flavors that are always available.
And do customers really want these varieties of flavors? Because kombucha is still a very new product in the market, and adding so many flavors. So is it easier for a customer to decide, or I mean, is it not confusing for a customer to, firstly decide on a kombucha, then, saying so much of the varieties and seeing what should we go about it?
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, like, when you have new customers, right, they would say we have things on our website like a favorite pack, right? So like our 4 top selling kombuchas, right? So when you have new customers, they're gonna purchase something like that. But when you have customers who have we have customers who've been buying from us for 5 years. They like new flavors, and so we create the new flavors, for them, and also. I think the difference in seasons as well, because we are creating a fresh live drink in small batches. We're not Coca-Cola or Pepsi, that like never launches a new product. We're using real fruit. So if it's mango season, we should be making something with mangoes, right? If it's orange season, we should be making something with oranges. That also kind of helps us set our business apart from, these other beverages that are just making things out of chemicals that are available 365 days a year, whereas we are making things out of real fruit, which are not available 365 days a year, right? They're seasonal.
So like you said, you are using the seasonal fruits and all those products. So isn't it a challenge to, keep the quality parameters at a set level? Because every time we have a different kind of a product or a different kind of a, because it is not a manufactured kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges for a quality point of view?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, I wouldn't call them quality challenges. Like, for example, if you buy a mango today from your fruit wala and it's really meetha, tomorrow you buy a mango and it's sour. Now, you're not going to go back to your fruit wala and be like, the quality of that mango was bad. This mango was more sweet, this one was more sour, please refund me, right? Because it's a mango. Exactly. And you understand, everybody understands that natural fruit is going to have variation. So we have these customer conversations with our customers, right? Like, because sometimes they will say, oh, like this batch of lychee was not as sweet as that batch of lychee. And we're like, well, this batch of lychee was not as sweet as that batch of lychee. Like, it's not us, it's the lychee. And actually, it can start as a complaint, right? Where a customer says, I'm complaining about something. And they go back saying, wow, you're actually using real lychees. This is like the only product on the market that's using real fruit. And I'm so happy that I'm purchasing it from you because I'm not consuming chemicals or I'm actually just consuming real lychee. And so people do appreciate that, right? Because it has all of the benefits, all of the vitamins of the real fruit.
So the main ingredient for kombucha would be?
Green tea.
Green tea. And can you just give a kind of a percentage, kind of a breakdown, what percentage of green tea goes, what are the probiotics that you have to add, what is the sugar that gets converted to it, or all those stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially what we do is, like kombucha is all green tea. The whole beverage, the drink is green tea, right? So we take...
Can we say kombucha is a fermented green tea?
It's a fermented green tea, exactly. Yeah, it's a fermented green tea. So we take green tea, we mix it with sugar, and then we put kombucha into that.
So kombucha is the thing that converts it
into kombucha. Same as how you make dahi, right? So it's the same process. It's fermentation. This is how fermentation works. But like dahi, you ferment it for 8 hours. Kombucha, we ferment it for weeks. So it gets fermented for a long time. And then that green tea turns into kombucha. It gets full of probiotics. It gets all fizzy. Then from there, we infuse it with fruit. So we put full mangoes, we cut and peel them obviously, but we put mangoes or lychees or whatever fruit we're making, we infuse that into the beverage.
So now, obviously, India has all the ingredients that we need for a kombucha. So do you think that people will start making this kombucha as a product inside their homes for self-consumption? Market is ready for that kind of a...
some people do, and we do sell, we sell kombucha brewing kits. So we sell kits for people, especially if they're living in like Bhopal or something, and we are not distributing there. We have kombucha brewing kits on our website where people can purchase the kits. Making kombucha is not so simple. And if you make kombucha at home yourself, you're not going to be able to get the same kind of flavor that we're making at Atmosphere because we're very experienced and very professional at it. So while people can make it at home, I think there's only a small group of people, those people who are really into hand making stuff, who are going to do that. People like me.
So you talk about Bhopal. So how is the market for tier 2 or tier 3 cities that we have? Like, is it available there? How are customers accepting this as a product? And what is the market size like?
We find a very good response in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So some excellent cities for us are like Calcutta, Jaipur, Dehradun. All over Goa is excellent for us. So it's definitely harder for us to expand to those cities. And just to expand to a new city in general is always challenging. But yeah, we find that, some of our best stores, you would think, maybe your best store would be somewhere in South Delhi. But actually, some of our best stores that, one single store is giving us the most revenue on a monthly basis, are actually in tier 2, tier 3 cities.
So how difficult it has been to acknowledge this product as a health alternative to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I think, people all over face health and gut issues for a variety of reasons. Nowadays in modern India, you're consuming a lot of genetically modified food. We have a diet that's very high in carbs, a diet that's very high in gluten. So you have people really all over the country struggling with gut issues. We actually don't do a lot of marketing in these like tier 2, tier 3 cities. But we find that people in those cities just discover us on their own.
Okay. And how has this been turning out? How are the people turning out to be like discovering on their own?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they just see it in the store, or they see us online. Maybe they saw us on Shark Tank, or they, I think in general, I think in big cities, there's like so much clutter. And there's, everyone is competing for your attention. There's so much, even here, like, if you think of stores, like from a retail perspective, there's like, if I want to get my product out there, I have to put my product in 100 stores if I want to cover Delhi. I mean, easily, but like, you could put your product in 1,000 stores in Delhi also, right? What we found is like, we have to put our product in all of these different stores and each of them gives us like a small revenue. Whereas like if you go to Jaipur, you can put your product in one store. And all the premium people in Jaipur go to that one store, right? So it's not so competitive also for the stores, which makes it a slightly easier business in a lot of ways.
It was great to have you, Rebecca. We had a great conversation regarding kombucha. I think the viewers or the people who are watching us will have a better understanding of what actually the product is and they might gonna go and try this. So thank you for taking out time and blessing us with the knowledge that you have.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure.